Hello, everyone. This is allegedly Caleb.
And this is caveat 53.
Welcome to our overview of Panzer Campaign's France 40 of the campaign that we've been running for the last couple of weeks, Forrester's Offensive. We're going to be
This has
going,
been,
yeah, we're going to be going through our entire playthrough of this and going through our battle plans, our strategies, how the actual game um, went through, how what happened, and then just some thoughts.
yes, I was really having a lot of fun playing this scenario. So thank you for playing this scenario with me. It was a blast. Um, when we were first looking at it, I think we were kind of feeling like, well, this looks like it's going to be a real
Yeah.
slugfest. I'm looking at right now on my screen, excuse me, this is oh, this is an AI battle that I was running where I just got through to turn 13. I wanted to show you that. I just ran through it several turns to see what the AI ended up looking like.
Yeah.
A bit of a mess here. This
Whew.
right here is where we basically called it. We said that there was probably no more fight left in the Axis forces,
Yeah.
and you gracefully surrendered. Um, I was taking some time before we took a look here
Mm-hmm.
to look at some of the history of this battle in more detail. And I wanted to share that. So, this particular scenario takes place on the 23rd of May, and it's kind of like the second half of the battle. Um, the original, like the battle kicked off, and you know more about this than I do as far as like the fall of Sedan.
Mm-hmm.
But the original Battle of Stonne started on the 15th of May, and according to what I found, the village changed hands 19 times
Whew.
between I think the 15th of May and the 18th of May. There
Wow.
were 33 French tank losses and 24 German tank losses. And then everybody was just like, this is crazy. I guess they were just taking it easy for a little bit. And then our scenario kicks off as like the second half of the battle, which started on the 23rd of May. And that's when Forrester attacked toward Tenay
Mm-hmm.
and destroyed this regiment over here. I'm actually going to pull up a fresh copy of the scenario here. So we'll do new by length, and it is this one. So this is where the scenario starts.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's actually got a little bit of interesting history. It talks about in the scenario details where a German officer took the wrong turn and gave away some plans, and there was an artillery bombardment. So I believe some of your guys start out disrupted.
Yeah.
The way historically, from what I could find, that happened, and kind of what I was thinking might be, we'll talk about this more a little bit later, but like they attacked towards Tenay, and it said that they took Tenay, and that's the third motorized
And
on the
Tanae
out.
is that little village right by that broken bridge on the left there, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the town of Tenay. And that's where they attacked through, and they destroyed this regiment right here, the First Hussars. At least I think this is the First Hussars. Let's
That
see.
purple one.
Yeah,
These guys.
First Brigade of Cavalry. So I'll say that that sounds about right. And the town fell on the 24th, and the French withdrew the night of the 24th, and that was the way that the battle played out
Hmm.
in historical sense. Our encounter went a little bit differently, but
Yes, very differently from that.
so that is kind of the history that I was able to find. Did you want to add anything as far as history goes?
No, I pretty much had about the same idea of yours, maybe without as much detail. As far as I knew, um, the Germans and the French had been fighting there for, like you said, a lot of days. Probably the biggest. This was probably the biggest hotspot in the entire invasion, where the forces stayed in the same place roughly for the longest amount of time, maybe other than like Dunkirk. But overall, just that whole idea of the German officer getting captured with the core the core group's plans, that was kind of crazy. That's like I, we were talking about it a little bit, and how a similar situation happened. Actually, this has happened a bunch of times throughout history where a general's plans will get captured by the enemy, and it's whether the enemy believes it was a ruse or not is what will tend to leave it up to whether they're able to turn it into a success or not. But in this case, the French definitely used that time after they captured those plans to shore up their defenses. Although it's interesting that that regiment on the left, that purple one, still was destroyed, even with their knowledge that an attack would be coming there. So I found that interesting, especially with what it's. You only realize it when you play this sort of game, or if you actually take part in one of these types of assaults, that crossing canals and crossing rivers in an attack is really difficult. Like, it takes a lot of time for your engineers to be able to set up the means for your men to cross, and to actually get into the enemy's positions. So um, it's kind of crazy to me that the Germans were able to even get that far. Um, yeah, so that's overall my thoughts about how the battle went. Um, it's it was definitely a tough one from the German point of view, but anyway, I'll let us get into that more a little bit later when we give our thoughts.
For sure. Um, I think we wanted to talk about the ways that we had kind of thought about our preparation for the
Yeah,
battle. Do you want to talk about that first, or would you like me to?
sure. I'll go over my
So,
little battle plan. So I actually
okay.
spent probably maybe like 2 whole hours before we started our playthrough, sort of analyzing the terrain, looking through all the objectives, looking at both of our forces and seeing what sort of units we had available. And I've got my notes from that written right here. Generally, my I would still say that this is true, but my results from that were that my men in general were stronger than yours, although not by a very wide margin. I think my units, stat wise, they've got like a hard attack of 1, range 0, soft attack of 9, range 1, assault of like 12. So, and that's not too far off from a lot of these French units. But what I really lacked in was that manpower. And oh, did that really start hurting by the end. But anyway, so my main fear was you have armor and I don't have any armor. I had a lot of anti-tank guns, but not any armor at all. So with that in mind, I thought, well, there's one other thing that sort of formulated my attack plan. So when I was looking through all the units, I was like, okay, what's everyone's morale levels? And overall, your units and my units' morale levels were pretty similar. Um, my pink division over here, I'm circling them on my screen. Um, these guys were my best units. They had a morale level of B. In the game that simulates German units that took part in the invasion of Poland. And so these are all veterans. They were my best units, and they were up, unfortunately for me, against some of your best units. These motorized guys you see right here, I believe those are your morale level B units. So, um,
Most
yeah,
are correction.
mostly. Some of those purple
Yeah,
guys I know get down into C, and some of them even D, I think.
Yes, the recon were a
Mm-hmm.
little weaker, but you're
Yeah.
on the right track. Is that the motorized division was they were comparable, I think, to your troops.
Yeah. On the right side, though, that's where your weakest division was. All of those guys over here were either um, C tier or D tier, which my men over here, pretty much every other division of mine, except for this morale level B division, is a C level division. So
Yeah.
I had um, that one morale level advantage over there, and I thought since you have a lot of tanks and I don't have any tanks, maybe attacking through that forest, and I'm going to circle it on my screen, and going for the furthest right objective would be the best idea. Um, and there's some good defensive terrain past the objective too that I could even get into if I'm able to capture that whole area. And I thought your men would just break a lot faster over there. And maybe what I didn't realize is that even though your units were weaker over there, they weren't like F or E tier. So they weren't just going to crumble under my assaults. And your the between having those trenches there, which is 40% protection if you don't move a unit out of it, and that you don't move a unit not in travel mode. And then on top of that, you got that forest, which is another 20%. So even though those units are super weak, they have a lot of protection against my fire. So that's where that plan was a little bit flawed. But that right side was my main thrust of the attack. My I also plan to try and cut through the center a little bit through those woods and then attack La Berile, however you say that, to attack
Oh,
that from the right side. So from that
you almost
forest.
made it. You got real fast.
I
You
got
got
really
real.
close, especially on that second day. I actually got right next to it. Um, but, and then my attack on the left, that was all sort of I want to say I was just trying to hold your units there, hold your best division and your other units over there to try and keep them there so that you wouldn't reinforce the center and the left side with them. But in doing so, I lost a lot of men, and I definitely made some tactical mistakes in being too aggressive on that side. And I should add, and I don't want to hide this, um, I wasn't 100% clear on the rules surrounding uh, getting across canals and rivers with engineers. So that definitely hampered that assault on the left to keep those units occupied. And maybe if I moved them out a little bit earlier, they would have maybe broken through a little faster. Maybe not. Who knows? But anyway, so that was my overall attack plan. I knew I had a lot of artillery, and I had actually a pretty big artillery advantage over you. So I was also using that to um, hit the areas I wanted to attack before I had attacked them. And then later in the game, I realized, oh, one thing I need to keep you from doing is from rallying your guys. So I'm sure it was really annoying, but I started targeting your HQs. And
You did my
yeah,
HQs, and I was really annoyed by that. As a matter of fact.
yeah, I remember from watching your videos too on your Tunisia 43 that whenever the AI did that, you got really pissed off. So I'm like,
I was
oh god,
really pissed
he's gonna be
off.
annoyed.
No,
uh,
and when the AI does it, it's
yeah.
just like, just stop. You're a
Uh huh.
robot. When
Uh
you're
huh.
doing it, it's like, ow, please
Yeah.
stop. Not
Yeah.
a robot.
So especially when I was attacking those like HQs really far back, and most of the time that would just be from the I forget what it's called, but that mechanic when sometimes your HQ will randomly give away their position because of radio frequencies. So I
Yeah, they're making
definitely
that.
nailed some of your division HQs maybe a couple times because of that.
You
And
broke at least one of my regiments
yeah,
with me.
the one of the ones in the middle, I think. But I definitely want to hear your thoughts on that a little bit more. Whether you think that slowed down how quickly your units recovered, and we can talk about that during the battle analysis. But
For sure.
that was my overall battle plan. I was very scared that you were going to counterattack me on the right side and just sweep my flank because I literally had no reserves. I had none at all. I had committed everyone to those attacks. So, yeah.
Yeah. Um, all right, so I'll talk about that.
Yeah. Let me
Right now, I'm
pull
kind of
your
looking at,
screen up. There you go.
yeah. So right now, I am looking at the fresh scenario,
Mm-hmm.
brand new. And I'll kind of go over where my thoughts were when I was getting all set up.
Yeah.
And I'm really looking forward to the analysis because I have a lot of thoughts. So starting though, I knew that you need at least two
Uh
locations
huh.
for I think to clear a minor to like get a solid minor victory.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I didn't know where your major attack was going to be or if it was going to be like spread out.
Mm-hmm.
So in my opinion, like the starting position of the French is pretty good.
Yeah.
They have good again defenses in various places.
Definitely looking
Um,
at it now.
Now, my defensive plan was pretty straightforward, was that I was going to stagger units and dig in everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted redundant trenches and improved positions
Yeah.
behind these trenches and improved positions. Now, in most cases, what ended up happening was that you blew past my trench before I had time to dig in the next row, so to
Yeah.
speak. But not in every case. There were a couple
Mm-hmm.
where I managed fortifications up. So I
Mm-hmm.
think that that was a solid plan and it worked pretty well.
Yeah.
I have these B1 tanks,
Oh
the
yes.
I know what they're called. Yeah, the
Yeah.
B1 Char, and these are actually I think unique in this particular scenario in that they have a soft range of two. I think they're the only
Yeah.
units in this scenario that have a soft range of two.
How much is their
So
attacking power there, by the way?
it is 19 soft.
19. Wow. Okay.
That's quite a lot.
That
That
is
is
that
quite
is as good as my artillery in a lot of cases.
the the downside is that all of my other tanks are awful,
Yeah.
like terrible. Uh, but I did have these B1s, and I wanted to position them in key locations that would allow me to give opposing fields of fire to different avenues that you might take, and I think I did a
Mm-hmm.
pretty good job there.
Yeah,
Um,
I think so too. I didn't really have much of an answer to those.
Something that you were talking about was the far right flank and kind of how you were poking around here and
Uh
trying
huh.
to like understand what my capabilities were.
Yeah.
So before we even started, I had plans
Mm-hmm.
to take this is the first colonial division, I believe
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah. That
I
purple one.
I had immediately started funneling units from this division into these woods.
Mm.
Did you
Over onto the
notice
left.
that?
I did. I saw it a couple times that you're reinforcing it, but I didn't know you were doing it immediately though.
Immediately,
Yeah.
because I knew that ultimately, I need to protect the right flank of these
Mm-hmm.
woods at what was the name of this place? Well, these woods.
Yeah.
I knew that I would need to protect the flank there, and I knew that I would either need to protect it over here where the flank is kind of long,
Mm-hmm.
or I could wrap through these woods on the right side and
Yeah.
still have like protection for my artillery. Like you're
Mm-hmm.
not getting foot infantry deep into my
No,
flank.
definitely not.
So yeah, immediately I wanted to maintain the line just in
Mm-hmm.
case like and I also another thought that I maintained throughout the entire battle and at the start of the battle was that like at some point you're going to be committed in one place or another and I
Mm-hmm.
could probably use this division to counterattack you from the flank.
Yeah.
So I had been thinking about that and I knew that you were probably thinking about that. You left this battalion up on this
Mm-hmm.
hill the whole time
Yeah.
and you
They
were just
were.
watching.
I broke them down. Actually, there were only like 100 guys there too.
It was good though because
Yeah.
it let you keep an eye on me.
Mm-hmm.
This is
Mm-hmm.
the dusk turn actually. I'm just going to advance this so that the viewer can see
Yeah, go ahead.
what. If you want to place it, yeah, that's fine. Okay. I just wanted to show. Let's see. Oh yeah. Go ahead. Okay. So I wanted to show the viewer what the visibility is
Yeah,
from
that's
up this
pretty
hill.
good.
You were able to see everything, and you had guys like up here, and you
Mm-hmm.
had really good visibility into this
Mm-hmm.
section of my line, and there wasn't like a great
The
spot for
one
me to kind of
the one thing
hide
though
out.
is I don't think you can actually see past trenches some unless you're right next to them.
I'm not sure about that. I'll double
Maybe because
check
I was only
that,
seeing that trench line on your right. I wasn't really seeing anything behind it.
but this trench line over here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I didn't really have anything over
Okay,
here.
maybe
Actually, I
that's
moved
why.
everything out of that area very quickly. And it also it does depend as well on elevation because like
Mm-hmm.
here you're at 250 and
Yeah.
these guys are down at 100. So you can like
Mm-hmm.
if you're right next
Mm-hmm.
to a unit on
Yeah.
equal, then it'll block line of sight. But if you have elevation, you can see over units basically.
I'll have to
I don't
double
know
check my
what you,
file. I want to see.
yeah.
But anyway.
So let's see. With the other, I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I was thinking along the way. No, not
Yeah.
really. I mean, I just kind of had to see what was happening. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
I did get reinforcements as well.
Mm. I saw that in the
Which
mission briefing too.
yes.
Like
So
turn
my plan
six or
was
something.
no, it was dusk. It was
Oh,
on
okay.
dusk turns.
Okay.
At turn 9 or 8.
Okay.
Um, And I had to I had to do this very careful night maneuver to avoid
Oh,
night disruption, which
yeah.
is a pro tip. Always check your night move disruption because not all scenarios have it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I experienced
so
a lot of
that,
that too on my end.
yes, the night move disruption is tricky. You got to be really careful about it, but it
Mm-hmm.
is possible. Um, okay, so that was kind of my plan as we were going through, or as we were preparing for the battle, and that sums it up.
All
So
right.
that's what I've got on my side of the plan.
Awesome. Awesome. Thanks for that review. It's crazy to see how many like the French are really well set up. I think the only time I took a look at your forces was at the before the scenario started. Other than that, yeah, wow.
It still felt flimsy, if it makes you
I
feel any
bet,
better.
I bet, especially with your center being anchored by that weak division right there. I think if
Yeah,
you hadn't moved a lot of units from your division on their right flank over, that line might have buckled.
I think so too.
Yeah,
My guys were jacked up. They were
yeah.
really
Oh,
suffering.
I
Yeah,
saw that. Some
right.
of them were down to like under 100 men.
It was a bloodbath.
Yeah,
Like moving into kind of an overview of how the battle played out.
yeah.
It was a bloodbath. It was a
It really
massacre. There were
was. I can.
stacks and stacks.
Oh, I'll give a little. I'll put a drawing out so people can see what happened. So, um, I pretty much attacked you on almost all flanks except for the far left flank, where I moved up to the canal line, but I wasn't really able to cross it quite yet. The reason being my engineers were disrupted for actually a pretty long time. Um, my one of my engineer units, the one not directly attached to that division, recovered pretty quickly, but the other one, they stayed disrupted for a pretty long time. And I didn't want to push while I didn't have all those units ready. So, other than them, I pretty much attacked across your whole front, which, if you know much about World War II, you know that's actually not a very good idea. Um, I definitely should have concentrated my forces. But I would say the stages of the battle were I pushed you out of your trench lines along the forest after a couple turns, maybe a little more than a couple turns. And some of those trench lines I actually never fully pushed you out of, especially the ones on the far right. In the center, on the left side center, that was a that was a bloodbath for a while. We were trading a lot of blows there. I think I destroyed one or two of your units, and you actually surrounded three of my units at one point, and almost killed them. But another unit further over, you completely surrounded and destroyed. So this whole area over here, I would say I got into those trenches, but I ran out of manpower to keep pushing any further. And look how the objectives are so far from there anyway. Um, from your trench line, it's one, two, three, four, five hexes of woods, of increases in elevation. You've got a stream right there. So, um, what I probably should have
It was.
done is
I
shifted
agree.
those units over. And the reason I didn't do it was because I thought it would take too long. But if I shifted them over to the left and attacked that canal, then maybe I could have had a chance of breaking through there and getting to that objective. Um, what I did end up doing, and this is around the time night turn happened, and I'm going to draw a border of what things looked like by nighttime. So I had men. You know what? Actually, even better, I will grab a the save. I'll show you what it looked like by then.
That's a great idea.
So let's open it. Got my Forester's Offensive folder, and what? It was about turn 8.
Either 8 or 9, I think, would be right.
Yeah. So, oh, it's going to show your side because this one I forgot to save mine for some reason. But it still shows the front line. So by this time, you can see I had pushed into James's trench line along that Pain de Sucre in the Saint Piermont Forest. Um, Over there, I'd pushed into your trench line, and at that point, I saw there were so many units between me and your objective on the far right side that I gave up pushing that way. And that's when I
Yeah.
really started pushing towards that La Berile objective right here. So I had units in there. I had a big concentration of battalions around Stonne and behind it, just resting, getting ready for a big push in the center in the morning. And then on the left side, you can see I got up into those trenches. I actually had pushed a little bit further too, but I ended up giving them up, giving those positions up because I thought I wasn't gaining anything by holding them, and I was just taking my forces were being wasted trying to hold it when I could dedicate them somewhere else. So I'm sure you probably saw I withdrawed some units from there and moved them around to Stonne as well to attack the center position. And then on the left side, and I'm actually going to circle the area where I lost some units right around here. I think it was actually this road right here, right above that left objective. Now let me erase
Yeah, I
all
think
that.
that you're right. Good. Pretty far in there.
Yeah, they were very far in. And then, yeah, I got too aggressive. Literally, the turn that I made that move, it was like that feeling of, oh my gosh, this is risky. Should I do this? And then I did it, and then I immediately regretted it. But I'm like, ah, it's too late. I'll send it to him. Um, but and then I got punished pretty badly for it. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. That was definitely something I have to applaud you for. When I made mistakes, you tore me a new one for them, instead of letting
I,
me slip by.
I was quite cruel about the whole thing, but I mean,
Yeah.
you are trying to like destroy France.
I am trying to destroy France
I
and
mean,
rule the entire world with the German Reich. So, understandable. If you're gonna lose, at least be the bad guys.
it was a really tough engagement over
Yeah.
there. I do think though, um, well, I don't know. I mean, I do think that
Hmm.
that is the right area for the Axis player to attack.
That left
Um,
side.
you got to be careful about it. Yeah,
Yeah.
on the left side, you
Your
got to
men
be
were
careful about it.
definitely pretty strung out up there, which is one of the reasons I liked it. And I thought maybe if I attack there, it'll help keep units away from that canal area. Which, as soon as I pulled units away from there, that's when I also happened to suddenly start taking way more losses over there. I don't think it's related because I stuck my men into this trench across that river and didn't give them a way to escape. And then eventually, when they got disrupted, your men just absolutely annihilated them. So,
Look at will you click on some of my units
yeah.
to take a look at their fatigue
Whew.
and their morale?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's one thing I wanted to look at. I wanted to look at their fatigue and morale by the end of it. Ooh.
You can see that some of these guys are really beat up.
Yeah.
Honestly, all along my
Yeah.
front, they got quite ripped up. I had the I think that there's a battalion over on the right of the third, the reddish guys
Mm-hmm.
that had like 10% left or something like that
Yeah.
at the end. Yeah, these guys they got. Uh,
Oh, yeah, those two units, the engineers and that other unit.
I will give
Yeah.
them they fought like hell.
Yeah.
They fought hard and they did a lot of damage. But yeah,
Yeah, those guys better get some sort of like cross of honor or something.
yeah.
But yeah, honestly, my units were pretty much exactly the same. Most of my guys were up in that moderate or even high exertion level by the end of it.
Yeah.
And I would say my average strength was probably at like 40%. So
Oof.
yeah, you really gave my guys a lot of casualties, and I think part of that was because I attacked across the entire front without like keeping really any reserves.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's an overview of how the battle went, and I will show the last little piece before we ended it, just so everyone can see um, where we all ended. So this is where we were when we ended it. You can see I pretty much completely given up on going for that right objective. I got
Which was the correct move. There was no
yeah,
way you were taking it.
God, and
There was no
as soon as I
every
saw those units on the right move into travel mode, I was like, oh shit. That was part of the reason I gave up because I was like, he we've still got like five or yeah 6 turns left, so he's gonna be able to get those guys to La Baril before I can even finish capturing it probably. Um,
yeah.
but
Yeah, that was
yeah,
pretty much the plan. At that
yeah,
point, I was like, okay, it's all or nothing now.
yeah,
And it is kind of an interesting dynamic of like when you play a shorter scenario, your objectives change,
yeah,
you know?
definitely.
But yeah, I was like, okay, pour everything in. This was
Yeah.
the point here where I'm collapsing that
Mm-hmm.
right flank because like there's no way you can get anything out of that side
Yeah.
with the amount of time remaining
Mm-hmm.
anyways.
Oh, let me click on that one stupid trench line that held like the entire time that I was getting so annoyed with. There is this one. No, that you counterattacked that trench. I think it was this trench right
I
on
think it
this
was that.
corner that I could not budge you out of. And because I made a mistake with the way I moved one of my units, I think you were able to sneak a unit in there. Um, Sneak 2 units in there. And that
That guy on the right, out of those two, is
yeah.
I think that he was there the whole time.
Yeah.
But he, I
Oh,
don't think
was
he was
he? Okay.
engaged.
One of
That
these.
that one you have highlighted right at the kind of the top middle. Yeah, he
Yeah.
I believe that that was a counter assault at some point that
Mm-hmm.
like I just happened to
Oh,
have an
and you pushed
undisrupted
him out.
unit.
Yeah.
And there he was. Yeah,
But anyway, you can see you still had a lot of guys over there. But look at my men. These guys are all like
yeah.
look, this one's 25% with like moderate, almost high fatigue. The pioneers were doing pretty well. Um, 37,
He
55,
was your infant.
62, but disrupted in low ammo, and they'd been like that for like 3 straight turns. Um, and a lot of my attacking units over here started out with pretty good, but like these guys, they were at probably like 65% strength. And then that turn, you dropped them down by like half of their strength. And I was like, oh crap. Maybe I shouldn't have pushed them out by themselves, but I was hoping that they would be able to just hold on. And it didn't look like you had. Most of your units around here were all disrupted, but the artillery just murdered them. Um, anyway,
that was the scariest thing it got for me was
yeah,
when that plane got within that, and everybody around him
yeah,
was disrupted. I didn't really
yeah,
have anything that I could have repulsed with if
yeah.
he had been able to, well, like,
If
had a good solid
yeah,
roll.
if you hadn't disrupted so many of my other units trying to make their way in, then I think I would have maybe continued one or two more turns. But like all of these guys are absolutely in no shape to do any sort of attacks. And
Yeah,
that's what emptied my gas tank, so to say. And all of these units back here, most of these are like anti-tank guns with nothing. There were some units sitting here recovering, but like this guy had 38% of his men. This recon unit had, well, he's in good condition, but still not many men. And then there's this guy who had a good amount, but that's just one battalion, and that's literally everyone. That's everyone I was able to commit to that. So
that's so
I'm
intense.
I think I'm happy with where I ended it because I pretty much I never want to waste someone's time by playing a like not pointless because I don't think it would be pointless, but playing a game that we could probably move on and play something else more fun instead of
Sure.
spending time continuing this when the results are pretty much 100% going one way. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
these guys were in trouble. This was one of those units that you'd surrounded for a little bit. Look how low they are.
that's real tough.
Yeah.
That guy got massive.
Oh, you want to see the units on the left that you surrounded and almost annihilated?
Yeah.
Here we go. Here
How
we
many
go.
did they
The first one
have?
had 11 men. The second one had 25 men. The third one had 40 men.
So when I kind of was looking at that
Yeah.
situation,
Yeah.
I was like, okay, he's got one undisrupted battalion.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll get lucky. And I start hitting with the artillery,
Mm-hmm.
get the disrupt, and then I'm looking
Mm-hmm.
at mine, and I'm like, this is gonna be really devastating for him
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
he couldn't retreat. Was
Uh-huh.
the thing,
Yeah.
retreat. So yeah,
Yeah.
I felt a little bad. I took a screenshot
Uh-huh.
of the first assault and the casualties from the first assault,
Yeah.
and I was gonna send it to you to mock you, but I thought that that would be rude.
It's funny. I would have thought that was funny. But
Yeah, I did like a little snippet just so
yeah.
that you could see.
I
Yeah,
do appreciate you taking the cautious route. But
I hate to get philosophical, but it is one of the things, an interesting perspective
mm-hmm.
that this game gives me is, and not necessarily unique to this game, but
Mm-hmm.
it's like imagine ordering a full regiment across the canal
Yeah.
and be like, go take that hill, and they get across there, and there's artillery landing on them, and like 2 hours later, they're all dead.
Yeah.
Like they're all dead,
Seriously, and
and
that's what
you're like,
happened right here.
"Ooh." Yeah, um,
'Cause that's
it is
literally an
pretty wild.
entire regiment right there. That's crazy.
Yeah,
And yeah, I think you touched on this a little bit. If this was in like a larger campaign game, I don't think I would have carried this attack out as long as it went. I probably would have cut my losses probably just after maybe even like 6 turns. And
yeah,
then,
and like try it back up and take a different approach, get some more
yeah,
artillery.
exactly. Or
Yeah,
even reroute forces to um, more successful areas of the battlefield. Um,
yeah.
so, but,
I do
you
have
know,
a question.
yeah, what's up?
So, will you load up turn, call it 5, maybe?
5? Let's
'Cause,
see.
yeah, I was curious about this. I had
You want to see a
over on the
replay?
left, um,
Here.
if you
Oh,
Maybe. What I'm
that's
curious about is at some
this is your
point,
side. Yeah.
you see where that stack of armored cars is on the left?
Um. Yeah.
Where the, yes, that stack right
These
there.
guys.
Yes. Now at some point I had moved them, like here you were already engaged with them, but at some point I had
Mm-hmm.
moved them to that spot where they were, I thought that they were completely obfuscated. Like you would have had no idea that they were there.
Yeah.
Do you remember being surprised by that stack jumping out at you?
I think I thought I remember seeing them at some point,
Okay,
but maybe. I mean, I knew that they existed beforehand. Maybe I.
sure.
I'm not sure. I don't remember a moment specifically sticking out. Maybe it's just because I knew all of the all of the forces there were kind of weak. Like
Yeah,
those were weak armor. But I mean, weak armor doesn't make a difference when you don't have anything that can hit it.
that's true.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I do
I
remember
think that
thinking these guys are having a
I
hard
think that
time.
was a good analysis of the battle, and I think that you covered it
Yeah,
well. I don't have um, many other notes to add. I mean, you tried
yeah,
really hard. You got close to a couple of
I
the.
did.
Oh, I will take a moment to just kind of reiterate,
Mm-hmm.
like in retrospect, what if I were playing the Axis
Mm-hmm.
in this scenario, what I would have done is just dump everything east of Stonne,
Yeah.
and I would have sent everything on the left side straight
Mm-hmm.
towards that the left objective,
Yeah.
and then I would have fought for
Mm-hmm.
La Berlière. Um,
That's how you say it.
I think so.
Sounds right.
B-E,
It sounds French.
forget my pronunciation. But yeah, I think that that would be the way to go because
Yeah.
that you have this one division on the left.
Mm-hmm.
You could probably do like a cut off on the south side of that
Yeah.
canal somehow.
Get into here
If
somehow.
you if you had concentrated everything on the left side, I don't know if it would work on the right side
Mm-hmm.
because you'd have to
There's
move
that.
units so far from the left.
Yeah.
Whereas all of your, what is that purple division that you have?
These guys. This is
Yeah,
my 36th Infantry Division.
the 36th Infantry, they're in a good spot where they
Yeah.
you can shuttle them northwest to get them into an attacking position and just say
Mm-hmm.
forget all that stuff on the left. Now, who knows how the ally player might react to that, but I think that because you have that main road there,
Mm-hmm.
um, I think you'd be able to move faster
Yeah,
and like
that's
more
true.
significantly.
The main thing
Um,
was I needed to at least, if I were to do that, I would have had to at least hold on to that middle road because your trench
yeah,
line would be exhibiting zone of control over that whole thing, or at
that's
least for
right.
a big
I
amount of
think
it.
hit Z.
Yeah. Oh, I still got my thing on. There we go. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I
you
see
can see
what you're
your whole
saying.
trench line is watching it. Um,
Yeah.
and there were times that I was actually trying to move units across back and forth from there. So really, what I would have had to do, and I'm gonna use my little marker again, I would have had to go all the way through these back lines, and then all the way up this small little road. And you can see there's lots of bridges too.
Yeah.
Even over here, all along this small road, and those small road, they're it's so hard to move big columns of troops along those. But I still think I would have, if I could do it again, all over again. I definitely would have waited and shifted more troops to concentrate in certain areas before I
Yeah.
attacked. Because my forces were all spread out pretty evenly, except they were all sitting in all of these trench lines. So, except for that left side, I had a little bit of a concentration there, as it was historically. So what I should have done, in my opinion, and it sounds like you agree, is
I agree.
I'd probably leave like 100 men in each of these trenches, just to at least make it look like I have some guys there, or maybe leave one battalion and split it between three trenches, um, and then take everyone else and concentrate them. Probably, if I could do it again, I would have gone for this objective, La Ber, La Barriere, La
Barriere.
Brilliere.
I
I have,
apologize to the Canadians and the French in the audience.
yeah. I know. I'm gonna make their ears burn. Um, I need to work on my French, I guess. But I definitely would have gone for that one, but from the left side instead of the right side, like I tried.
Yeah.
The again though, the main thing I was worried about that whole area is your armor. You can see back where those objectives are. It's all fields. So I was so scared that your armor was just going to overrun my men. I didn't realize how weak some of your armor was. Um, I was pretty scared of those B1s. I didn't look at anyone's stats other than their morale beforehand, but I knew those B1s probably packed a punch.
Yep.
I think that's the main reason I didn't go for each of those objectives as my main objectives was
Yeah.
I was too scared of your armor and I thought it'd be too difficult to hold on to those objectives. Now that I think about it, if I just brought up my AT guns, which I don't think killed more than just a couple tanks that entire game, but maybe they would have been enough to keep you from trying to overrunning my units or something. But
I will say I specifically targeted your AT
I
guns
did
because I
notice
knew
that.
that
Yeah.
you wouldn't be able to retaliate against my tanks, really. I
Yeah.
mean, you could still assault. It gave me a better fighting chance. I thought it was better on balance to do it
Well,
that way.
but what I should have done overall in my attacking thrusts is attack down like these two roads, um, and then attacked maybe across the canal here. And if I could have done that, then I could have even potentially cut a lot of your units off. Which I know that was actually the historical plan of Forrester, to try to cut all of those units off along like C or Psi right there.
Yeah.
But I think if you realized that was going to happen, you would have just gotten your motorized and armored units. All of those units there are mobile. So you would have just gotten those units out of dodge and then counterattacked. But,
It's
or at least that's what I
possible.
would have done. See,
Yeah, you might have been able to do a thing. I mean,
yeah,
if you moved quickly and you
yeah.
were aggressive, you could probably go into a good spot.
Move quickly, aggressive, and lucky.
Yep.
Because these infantry are slow. But, yeah, overall,
So
I
I wanted
definitely
to
thought
take
it was
a look
fun.
at
Yeah, and I think
same.
this was
I
both of
loved
our first PBM
great time.
game, right? In this game, at least.
True.
Yeah.
That is also yeah.
So
I want to take a look at another scenario.
I know, me too.
Pull up the selection
Here.
and let's look at there's another Stonne scenario that's the first half of the battle
Oh
that
yeah,
I
yeah,
was
yeah.
talking about earlier.
It's I remember that one. Verdun of 1940.
That sounds right.
Was it like the 20 turn one? So there's a 20 turn,
Yeah.
a 42 turn, and then a 8 turn.
Uh, so that you can actually play like the
Oh,
full.
it all yeah, 15th through 18th. That could be a fun one.
Very
I'm gonna open
yeah.
this up and see.
Take a look at it.
Yeah, let's see what there is. Oh, we got air units too. That was another thing I haven't brought up yet. I sorely missed the Axis Air Force because that was one thing that really, really helped them in World War II was being able
Yep.
to use their air force as like mobile artillery, essentially.
Yep. Yeah. That
And
was I read about that, I've heard about it, and how aggressive the Luftwaffe
yeah,
was in engagements, and I do feel like you were really missing out.
yeah, oh, definitely.
Uh,
Not really so much
this,
in the recon aspect because I feel like I knew that your entire line had a lot of men, a lot of men on it. But this would be an interesting scenario. We both got a lot of armor. We both have. What's the strength report? Oh, that's the victory report. That's there. It is. Yeah. So, oh, the VP is pretty similar.
yeah.
Yeah, 20,000 versus about 30,000. But I think my tanks
Okay.
are worth a lot.
Probably.
Yeah, and I've even got some fun units in here, like some little
Ooh.
martyr. I think those are martyr ones. When they stuck
What the
some 4.7 millimeter guns on some Panzer 35 chassis. Chassis.
Yeah, that's neat.
Yeah, there's some fun
Yeah.
units along here. You've got you got some you got mechanized units. Well, that's assuming
I
we
sure
play the same side.
have track. That's interesting as well. Yeah, I
Yeah.
hadn't looked at this area in depth. I was curious to look at it with you.
Oh, you got those.
Um,
You'd have those B1s again. What are
um,
these? Oh,
so,
H39s. That's not. That's not the tank that people say was the best tank of World War II or of the French. It wasn't the B1, although they thought that was good. It was. Where is it? Is it these guys? No. Oh, I can't remember. It was in the book I'm reading. Oh, these guys all start off broken. That's interesting. Anyway, I'll have to look it up. But um, yeah, this looks like an interesting scenario. You got
yeah.
the casualties we took in our scenario, which actually we should look at. We need to look at that.
I was looking. It was about 6,000 per, over
Oh,
6,000 per.
jeez,
It was a real, it
it's
was a real tough one, man.
it's a slaughter fest.
Yeah.
But yeah, we can go over what scenario we might want to play next. But yeah, overall, I thought it was pretty fun. Definitely learned a lot from this scenario that I'm gonna carry over into future times where I'm assaulting a line like this
You got it.
and defending one
I
too.
think that's a lot of valuable lessons to be learned out of this scenario for both players.
Yeah, I know. It's playing these games. I get the same feeling. It's like when I play like a chess game. You know, like you're always learning
Yeah,
something new. You gotta think the same sort of way.
indeed.
But
All right.
anyway,
So I think I'm pretty good.
yeah, I think so too.
Overall, I would rate this scenario highly. I had a fun time with you. I
Mm-hmm.
thank you for again for playing with me. That was great.
Yeah, it really was. It was definitely a really good first battle experience. Um, First PBEM battle experience, I should say. And
Indeed.
looking forward to whatever comes next. Eventually, we'll have Poland 39 to play through. I know. We've talked about potentially wanting to do one of the grand campaigns on that one, which could be a lot of
Would
fun.
like to do a
Yeah,
campaign. I think that would be a lot of fun. I'd like a lot of the mechanics that they've been talking about with like
yeah,
type reinforcements and how the front shifts and becomes like these islands and pockets and moves around, and it sounds like a really interesting scenario. So
yeah.
I'm
I
looking
know.
forward to
I, I
day one
def
by.
I definitely would not subject yourself or myself to the historical version of the scenario where the Poles will probably just get completely wiped out.
We'll see.
Yeah.
I'm not so. There's a hot debate about it on the forums
Oh,
that
I know.
I've
I've
read.
read it. I've read it. We've got some real Poland defenders on there. Uh, Poland did nothing wrong at all. Nothing wrong at all in their battle strategy, I should say. But um, yeah, no, I've seen that. It's pretty funny. But people have been. Everyone seems pretty well researched about it.
Yeah. It's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Me too. Me too. Well, anyway, James, I know it's getting late for you, so I can let you go.
But thank you very much for taking the time to do this with me. I had fun doing this, and
Yeah, me
I
too.
look forward to you as well.
Me too, James. You have a good night.
You as well.
All right, I'll catch you later.